Good morning, traders. Welcome to the Asian preview, the North American wrap. It's an extremely quiet session here for North America, Europe as well. We had a little bit of a gap open lower on some negative UK Brexit headlines from the Friday close. We gapped about 25 pips lower. There are 40 MPs that want to vote of no confidence for May. They would need another 8 to get her out of office. So that caused sterling's initial weakness. We can take a look here at the where we closed last week up here at 131.88 after having a nice little run up kind of Friday session. Then we opened up down here at 131.68, so about a 20 point gap lower. Never really recovered until around mid-morning in London, and then we did have a little bit of pop on. David Davis spoke and calmed things down a bit about Brexit, but again, the Brexit divorce bill is being voted on this week, so it's going to be a headline game, which is typical. We do have some economic data coming out of the UK while we're speaking about the British pound. We have the UK CPI coming out during the European morning. 3.1% year on year is expected. We'll also have to keep an eye on the core number, and then we have the UK jobs data on Wednesday and UK retail sales on Thursday. So some of the economic data releases, important economic data releases coming out of the UK this week, along with the Brexit divorce bill negotiations and the vote coming out of the UK. So we're expecting to see some volatility, and some of that is being reflected in some short-dated options where they're starting to buy up the kind of the short term, like the 3-day to 1 week vols have perked up a bit for the British pound. Strongest currencies on the day during this would measure the European or the Asian Open right through the North American close. Euro stock and Euro Naki both fairly strong. We do have some data coming out of both those countries. We have Sweden CPI tomorrow, which will be closely watched, and the Norway GDP number. And the weakest currencies for Monday were the British pound, as we discussed, Aussie yen, Aussie Kiwi, or Aussie yen, Aussie dollar, and sterling yen. Let's pop over and take a look at the daily Aussie and Kiwi chart. Here's Aussie. These are these old lows here at 76.25. We are closing just below these old lows. This is the lowest close we've seen since way back in July, and a lot of technicians are calling for this to break down and continue down, test these old lows down that 73 handle. So we'll be watching that closely tonight. Here's the New Zealand dollar. Again, market's pretty heavily short. There was a little bit of net buying of Kiwi last week, but positions are still fairly short. This looks like it's going back down to test these old lows. This is a big level here, this 68.18 level, which you can see if you can go back on the daily, back to the May lows. So this will be the next inflection point for the Kiwi, and there are a lot of people calling for this Aussie and Kiwi to be quite a bit lower into year end. There's some seasonal patterns that we highlighted last week, and we like continuing selling rallies in Aussie and Kiwi. Let's take a look at Euro Yen. Big range here, 134.50, 131.50 on the wide. It's gone nowhere. Keep an eye on those two levels there. Here's oil. It's been consolidating after that outside reversal, bearish engulfing day. It's been consolidating here, and I expect it to move one way or the other soon because it has gone into about 4 days, 3 or 4 days of consolidation. Dollar Turkey after the big run up, a couple indecision days, a little bit of a reversal day higher here, nothing major. Shorter term break trades that we're looking at, the dollar yen and the euro. Here's the euro. Market's still short here. 116.92 is the starter. There's going to be some more stops over 117 the figure. So keep an eye on that for the next trading session. There could be some energy in that trade because the market again is still fairly short the euro. And if we take a look at dollar yen chart here, the 112.96 was that spike low. We then put another low here at 113.10 last week. This would be a little bit of the first area you'd probably want to be getting short through. We're trading way up at 113.60, so I don't think that these are really in play in the next trading session, but definitely to be keep an eye on, as we do have U.S. CPI coming out this week, and a fair amount of data, and we'll have to keep an eye on the equity complexes as well. It was all very quiet in the NASDAQ, and the S&P were both up smalls and kind of either side of flat most of the day. We also have on the calendar tomorrow, we also have Yellen, Kuroda, Carney, and Draghi all speaking at an ECB conference in Frankfurt. That is at 10 a.m. GMT. So there could be some headlines coming out there. And again, we have the Sweden CPI, Norway GDP, and the UK CPI in the London morning. Best of luck, and we will speak to you on the European Open. All the best.